A little over 2.5 millennium ago, a son was born to King Suddhodana and Queen Maya Devi of Kapilvastu, a small kingdom situated in the foothills of Nepal. The queen gave birth to the prince in the sal grove of Lumbini while on her way to her parental home at Devotieses. Tradition has it that no sooner the prince was born, he took 7 steps and announced, "I have come to teach Dhamma and to deliver all sentient beings to the realms of enlightenment." In the course of time, Prince Siddhartha came to be deified and worshipped as Sathya Muni Buddha, or the great enlightened Sathya sage. A sage named Asita foretold that the prince would grow up to become either a world conqueror Chakravartin or a sage par excellence. Fearing that the boy would turn into a recluse, the royal parents surrounded him with luxuries and pleasure. Palaces were built to suit every season, and court singers and dancers entertained the prince constantly. One day, as the prince drove across the capital city in a chariot, he happened to see a corpse being carried to the cremation ground. A little while later, he saw a sick person groaning with pain, and then a gnarled and stooping old man. He had never seen the face of misery till then, and inquired of his charioteer Channa whether what he had seen were common occurrences. Channa replied in the affirmative. As they proceeded further, the prince saw a robust mendicant who sat underneath a tree in quiet contemplation. He exuded an aura of inexplicable joy and contentment. Channa informed the prince that the mendicant was one who had renounced the world in quest of truth and liberation from suffering. That night, the prince espied the actual repulsiveness of the women who appeared to be paragons of beauty during the day. Their clothes were disheveled, and their faces bore the mark of mortal vanity. Prince Siddhartha rode his steed Kantaka, and leaving behind his wife Yashodhara, the newborn Prince Rahul, his parents, courtiers and courtesans, headed towards the forests of Uruvela, where he undertook rigorous penance for 6 years. On realizing that self-mortification was not the right way to attain enlightenment, he took a dip in the nearby Niranjana river at Bodh Gaya and sat underneath a banyan tree, firmly resolving to attain the state of beatitude. It was a full moon night of the month of Vaishak when the prince discovered the 4 noble truths about suffering and the 12 factors of dependent origination that tie up sentient beings to the continuum of birth and death. By the break of dawn, the prince was bathed in the halo of enlightenment. Thereafter, he proceeded to Saranath and in a deer park delivered his first sermon of the 4 noble truths to 5 disciples. The master attained Mahaparinirvan at 80 in the mango grove of the Mallas at Kusinagar. The day of his passing away was again the full moon day of Vaishak. This day is therefore celebrated the world over as the thrice blessed day, the day of the Buddha's birth, enlightenment and passing away. Vrindavan is swathed in festoons and draperies. It is the full moon day of Vaishak, the thrice blessed day. All at once, there's a hushed silence, and there appears on the stage the majestic form of Bhagawan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. People gaze mesmerized. Bhagavan's divine discourse on the correct interpretation of the Buddha Purnima enraptures the vast concourse. The Purusha Suktam praises God as the one with 1,000 heads, eyes and limbs who encompasses the universe in a mighty stride and is only 10 fingers away from all sentient beings. Similarly, the ancient tradition speaks about 1,000 Buddhas who will bless each kalpa with their advent. Bhagavan Baba has constantly reminded us that the 1,000 Buddhas mentioned in the Buddhist traditions, or the God with 1,000 heads, eyes and limbs in the Purusha Suktam, is reflected in all the sentient and insentient beings of this world. The 1,000 heads, eyes and limbs of Supreme Godhead emblematizes the multitude of sentient beings with myriad heads, eyes and limbs. This fact is experienced when man learns to identify himself with nature, with all other sentient beings. It is the same nectar or raso vaisaha that flows through every being. That is why God is also described as Angirasa, the one who permeates every limb of the body. It is only by transcending the mind and the senses that one can attain God realization. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayo. You are man because you are guided by the mind. Minus the mind, you are liberated. Buddha practically demonstrated in his lifetime that every sentient has the potential to become a Buddha. Mankind must first become a Bodhisattva, one whose heart is filled with Mahakaruna, or great compassion. It is only by developing an altruistic heart that the tyranny of the senses can be tamed, and man can discern the homogeneity behind the apparent differences. Unless one generates such compassion, there is practically no hope of attaining enlightenment. Being should not be lost in becoming. Life should not be lost in dreaming. You are all potential Buddhas in the making. Bhagavan has cautioned repeatedly. The attainment of transcendental wisdom by the Buddha was preceded by his great renunciation or tyaga and his great resolve or sankalpa. When he renounced all his material wealth and attachments, Siddhartha was just 29 years of age. His great resolve at the banks of the river Niranjana under the Bodhi tree was, even though blood, bones and sinews may wither away, I shall not rise until I attain transcendental enlightenment. The Buddha thus exemplified the manner in which mankind should set priorities in life through firm renunciation and resolve. Attaining the halo of enlightenment at a time when the moon or the mind complex is at its zenith, and when the individual is held captive by the senses, can be accomplished only through right renunciation and resolve. As twilight spreads crimson over Vrindavan, and the chirping of homebound birds seem like sacred incantations in praise of the Creator, the devotees sit in silent contemplation, having sung the glory of the Master and offered him arati. The evening shadows deepen to reveal a full moon. Perhaps the devout and determined ones among them might have inherited the brilliance of a Buddha on yet another full moon night of the month of Vaishakh, in the holy precincts of the abode of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.